how do we feel about the lip? Is very brown. This is, what is this? I'm trying to remember what's on my mouth. Because I left it over here. Gucci Tasty Hazel. It's lovely brown. Layered with the Amicole brown gloss. I'm kind of feeling it. Yeah, definitely feeling it. That away. Oh, that's gonna be loud. That's gonna make noise. Okay. Where are you? There we go. Okay. Move over this way when I start talking. Do we like the look? I'm kind of rocking just a black bra with a sleeveless top. I don't know. Kind of like it. Okay. Let's actually talk to camera. Hide. All right. Hey y'all. Welcome back. There are some new people here, so welcome to the channel. My name's Rachel. I am a neurodivergent artist with a deep love of all things beauty. I really think of makeup as art supplies. And today we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about my relationship and my history with eyeshadow palettes. I came to the beauty community in 2017, so at the height of eyeshadow palette mania. But at the same time, it was like everything is warm toned with a pop of blue or a pop of pink. I.e. like everything Too Faced put out between 2017 and 2020. There was a lot that grabbed my attention and I relished buying. I was very much in it makes me happy and I'm dopamine seeking. So if I want it, I'm going to buy it because it makes me happy. Well, the pandemic hit, I went through some financial problems, and then I started to take, what's the word I want? I wanted to take accountability for everything that I owned and really have a grasp of how long it would take to use every eyeshadow that I owned. At the end of 2020, I did a huge collection inventory. I counted every piece of makeup I owned. And at the time, I owned over 40 eyeshadow palettes. I didn't have a beauty channel then. I honestly didn't even wear eyeshadow that often. I would throw on my makeup before I was working up until 2020. I would throw on my makeup, I would use my blush, my highlighter, my bronzer, all of that to make my eye look, mascara, and be out the door on my way to my job. 2020 hit and all of a sudden, I had time. I had resources. I had all of this eyeshadow and I still wasn't using it. I barely wore makeup in 2020. That led to the purge and the major depotting spree. I went through and I destroyed eyeshadow palettes. I really wanted to break those palettes down to their basic pans. I wanted to take away the allure of the packaging. I wanted to take them out of their isolated color story and really figure out what I had and what I needed and used. Which has brought me to today, where I feel like I have a relatively balanced relationship with eyeshadow and eyeshadow palettes. I know what I'm drawn to, and I know what to avoid. So yeah, let's get in even deeper into the muck and the mire that ADHD and the allure of beauty. It really is like chasing squirrels, trying to find the perfect thing and buying something and then needing something else to be the perfect thing. The perfect thing doesn't necessarily exist. And honestly, if it does, I probably already had it. I just didn't know what I liked and what I wanted from my own makeup. Learning my own autonomy and what makes me happy is not what makes other people happy. I am allowed to be different. I am allowed to think differently. She's not like everybody else. No, she's not like other girls. She's different. All right. So I am going to put some imagery on the screen here. These are screenshots from my own Instagram account. These are my palettes. The palettes that I had, that I was drawn to, that I loved, but I never used. So if we look at that, at this image, I'm looking at it on my phone. I had these dark, all of these bright color stories, but I didn't wear bright makeup. I went for more subtle natural makeup because I was working and I was working with the public. I didn't want my makeup to be loud and outlandish. I just wanted to be comfortable in my own skin. That, oh God, yeah, this was a dark time for me when it came to eyeshadow. Oh my God, those ColourPop Disney palettes, I had all three of them. I had the regular princess palette that you see in this image. And then I had the villains palette. They then put out like a masquerade palette, and I bought that one too. Eventually, I would end up depotting all three of them. And I don't even think I have any of those shadows left. Over the years, I have culled my singles to a very approachable number, as you probably saw in my declutters. If you haven't, go watch my declutters. I'm still posting them. I recorded them back in December and I am still editing and posting my declutter videos. But my single shadows were the first declutters that I posted. So they're gonna be down there. I'll link them here. This is honestly like an embarrassing number of palettes that I just didn't know how to use. I didn't know how to build an eyeshadow look. And God, that Kat Von D, what was it, Saint and Sinner palette? It looked like a church window. It was gorgeous. The inside was really pretty, but I just couldn't make it a cohesive look out of it. And I ended up think I ended up giving it away because I didn't use it. I know I didn't depot that one. Anything with those long rectangular pans, I don't depot those because I don't like figuring out how to store those in my singles. I want them to either be round or square. That's it. These 4 palettes, the 2 Huda Beauty, the Dose of Colors, and the Urban Decay, I can't remember what that palette's called. Something about Life's a Trip. All 4 of those palettes I loved. I just got rid of a couple of shadows from the Dose of Colors and from the Urban Decay because they've gone off. And it tells me that, yes, in theory, in concept even, I love an eyeshadow palette. But anything more than 12 shades overwhelms my brain and I start shorting. Or I reach for the same 4 to 6 shades all the time. And those deeper shades, the greens, the blues, the grays, the ones that are harder to wear just don't end up getting used. Drugstore. I don't buy drugstore anymore. I just don't. I have one drugstore palette and it's from Makeup Revolution and it's a little 6-pan and I love it. Other than that, I don't even bother with drugstore anymore, with one exception, and we'll get into that later. I basically did not have a filter to examine eyeshadow palettes through and really have a concept of what I wanted. Going through this process of just depotting all of my eyeshadow palettes, I depotted four Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes. Comment below if you've ever gone through that horror, because those palettes are a nightmare. They are gritted plastic with that velour cover wrapped around. And because that plastic is gritted, it makes it so hard to melt the plastic to push the eyeshadow through. And those formulas were finicky. I didn't want to mess with adding rubbing alcohol. Do I have a cat hair on my lip? Probably. Singles. I went for colors that appealed to my color sensibility and not to my natural makeup sensibility. So I had singles in purples, teals, greens. Guess what? Those are colors I don't wear on my eyes. They're colors I wear on my body, but not on my eyes. So I have had to take myself to task over what I have owned throughout the years, taking responsibility for buying things that were, in fact, bad purchases. Like, they really were. They were not wise. And I have to own up and admit that I wasted that money, and it's something that has caught up with me. So how have I gone through this phase where I had 40 eyeshadow palettes, and now I feel a little more at ease with owning palettes because I know what I want, I know what I like and what I need, and I don't need the hot new thing right now. I also feel like we are in a period where palettes are really not the thing anymore. I don't see a whole lot of brands. Oh, darn it. I don't see a whole lot of brands bringing out huge eyeshadow palettes like they used to. You know, the biggest one I remember is the P. Louise and Michaela palette that's like half beige and half nude. Hello?
Hi, can I speak to Rachel?
This is she.
This is Michelle calling from OSU Neurology with Dr. Burford's office. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good. I was calling in regards to your appointment that was scheduled March 21st.
Yeah.
Dr. Burford, he will not be in that day, so we're needing to reschedule.
Okay.
I can get you in. I can get you in March 20th. Same time, 11:05 is the arrival time.
Okay. I don't see any reason not
Would
to.
that work?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So your new appointment, so March 20th at 11:05, and then that's with Dr. Burford, and that's at the Dublin location.
Yep. I've got it.
All right. And then if you have any questions, we need to cancel, reschedule, you can give our office a call back.
Okay. Let me. My phone keeps wanting to put things in at Stone Ridge, which doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, okay.
So, all right. I've got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yes. Did you want to say hi? Meow. 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 Okay. I can't remember what I was saying. At the end of 2020, I really took a critical look at what I owned and what I was using. I depotted and got rid of duplicates, things that I wasn't going to use. And I bought several of these large magnetic palettes from Adept. These are some of my singles. I have palettes built right now, but I filled these. I had 3 of these full of eyeshadow singles. And that was even a lot of singles. Like, that was a lot of singles. As I continued to implement my own rehab, I started figuring out what I loved and what I loved doing with my makeup. I loved building palettes. I loved getting in my fingers into my makeup. And doing that both led to the inception of this channel, as well as a really deeply seated love for indie and beautiful textured eyeshadows. I was able to mitigate. Hi. Yes. Did you mitigate? Yes. The draw to new palettes. I was able to quell that draw by looking at my absolutely beautiful singles and my indie shadows. Where did I put it? These are my... So these are my current Cleona singles. I have just gone through this and done some, swatching. I decluttered one of them recently. But any palette that's like, oh, we have a multi-chrome, we have a trichrome, I've got it. I'm good. I don't need the Natasha Denona $129 trichrome palette that has 3 multi-chromes and a bunch of disparate singles. I didn't need that palette, even though that palette really appealed to my sensibility. It appealed to this side of me that loves color, texture, shifting, that beautiful depth that you get when you layer a multichrome on your eyes. But I had it. I didn't need to go out searching for it, and I didn't need to buy an entire palette to get the shadows that I wanted and used. As time has gone on, I have found myself more and more drawn to smaller palettes. Palettes that have a more distinct Color Story. Where's my little red guy? So 4 pans, 6 pans, smaller eyeshadow palettes that really do allow me to grab and go, so to speak. This little 4-pan Pat McGrath palette, I love this. It was a gift from my ex-boyfriend. This shade is my perfect inner corner highlight. And I know it's there. I can grab it and use it and put it away, and I don't have to think about it. That, in and of itself, makes it one of the most useful palettes in my collection now. So, what do I have as far as palettes, and how do I make them fit into the way that I use eyeshadow? I have never been somebody who just focuses my eye look on one palette. I'm always going to be looking for something cooler toned, something pinker, something brighter, and having alternatives, having things in my collection that I know I can reach for and say, okay, this is going to give me the shine that I want. This is going to warm things up. This is going to cool things down. One of the most useful palettes I have is the Hindash Monochromats. This is fabulous for somebody who is trying to have fewer palettes, but still wants a variety of warmth and cool and different colors. The blue and the purple I don't use. This strawberry red, I love this shade. Even these two have come in so handy. I forget that I have this, and I need to remember it more. I need to remember that this exists. For the times that I do want something really bright and colorful or dark, I have ColourPop It's a Mood here. This has my purples, my teals, some greens. It's even got these really lovely warmer tones. Having this in my collection means that I don't get drawn in to that green palette that just came out from an indie brand. Like, I've got greens. I'm good. What do I get sucked into? What do I find myself being drawn in by? That right there is a very good question. And I think this is a good example. So this is the Pat McGrath Bijou Brilliance eyeshadow palette in Sunset Romance. This was from her holiday collection from this year. I also have one of these little 5 pans from her collection last year. And you know what? I like this little palette. I know that these palettes were not they were not really comparable to her formulas. These palettes are different formulas than her other palettes, and that's okay. They're limited edition. They're not going to be around for very long, but those who like the color story and want them can get them. I didn't pay full price for this. I bought this a couple days after Christmas, and it was down to $15. This is my perfect little palette. These are the colors that I reach for. These dusty, pinky rose shades. I absolutely love these. The mattes are really nice. I like these mattes better than her regular mattes. This shade in the middle is so pretty all over the lid with a little bit of this in the corner and this blended through the crease. That's it. It's super simple and it's beautiful, and it was inexpensive and it was easy to obtain. This is what draws me in. This I recently bought used on Mercari out of curiosity because I had Mercari credit to spend. This is a little YSL 4 quad, make up your mind. This is a little YSL 4 pan. This is the 600 shade. I don't actually know what it's called, but if I can look it up, I'll put it on the screen. This is very similar to the Pat McGrath, but the formula is very different. It's much more slippy and slidey. It feathers beautifully. These take no work to blend. The Pat McGrath takes a little bit of work to blend, but you know what? I use these together. Look at that. Look at that. Oh my God. They work in tandem. And I love it. I love being able to pull one or two palettes out, or just one. So I also am a huge lover of eyeshadow singles, whether they are in a pot formula or whether they are in a single pan. Now, if something is not sold in depottable packaging, I will depot it as a single. I will depot it. I will put this in my little magnetic palette and I will use it as a single. I will move it around into all of my magnetic palettes. I love these because I can keep them in their compacts when I'm home. But if I go traveling and I want to take these, I just pop them out and put them in a palette. And that's it. And then they can go back home when I get back. That is the kind of stuff I love. Stuff that has that modality and is, excuse me, Groucho, I'm working. Can I finish what I'm saying? I like things that have a little bit of a higher user function. It's maybe more thought than just pulling out a palette and throwing together a look. But for me and the way that I do my makeup, it makes sense. And I know that for a lot of people, they're going to look at me and be like, but you're giving yourself more work. And you're not wrong. I am. But I'm also satisfying what I need and what I want without going out and spending more money. I have the beautiful, crushy indie singles that just shine and make life so much more fun. I have a beautiful palette of mattes. I also have mattes that I can pop out of other palettes. i.e., let's discuss Natasha Denona. This bottom row, a couple of them are missing, are all matte shadows. And these are transition shades, blending shades. These all work on my skin tone, and they tend to work with most of my eyeshadows. If I'm building a palette to take with me to go somewhere, I'll pop a bunch of these in there, and I've got my mattes ready to go. So I guess the next question is, what eyeshadow palettes do I have and what do I use? And that's a good question. As of late, I have been really loving this little 5-pan from Pat McGrath that I cannot get open. It's a problem I have with this packaging. It doesn't open easily. But the shadows are beautiful, and it was about the cost of a drugstore palette. So I'm very happy with it. Last year, I did buy the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette. This is gorgeous. This came and went, and by the time it went, I had some major FOMO. Like major FOMO. Because I have come to love these really beautiful, glassy, slippy, shiny formulas. And when this re-released, I leapt at it. I could not be stopped. And that's okay. I thought it through before I leapt. But I did I did leap. Couple of NARS palettes, and these have been seen on my channel before. You would have seen these. I haven't finished editing my eyeshadow declutter yet, but you'd have seen them then. The NARS Extreme Effects palette. I bought this for a couple of reasons. I bought this because it's got this little quad color story that's got warmth, it's got coolness, it's got raisin. I did look up some reviews before I bought this, and the one review I've found was Emily Noel, who was like, I like this palette, but the black isn't really black. And I'm like, that is perfect. I don't care, because I don't use black eyeshadow. I just don't. It doesn't work on my skin tone. It turns my skin gray, and I don't like it. The rest of this palette is pretty great, I have to say. It's a really cool, funky, dingy, weird palette, and I love it for that. The flip side of that is going to be the NARS Summer Unrated. This is eminently useful. Eminently? Is that the right word? This palette is just unaccountably? What's the word I want? This palette is the epitome of utilitarian. It has warmth, it has cool, it has skin native colors, it's got shine. It does it all. The only problem I have is that this is on the no-fly list now. This I don't travel with because some of these mattes have just decided to come out of their little case. But I do really love this palette, and I will use it again when I use it. And I know I have it. I know what the shadows do, and I love them for that. So to recap, I know that this has been kind of a wandering, rambly video. And if you've stuck around and stuck with me, I greatly appreciate it. I started as somebody with a compulsive shopping problem. I really did. And it wasn't necessarily oh, this is beautiful and I want to own it and experience it. It was like, no, I want to go into Ulta and buy something. I had a bad day at work. I need to go spend some money. I was using shopping as retail therapy, which in some cases can be good. In mine, it was not. It was not. And looking back on it 5-6 years later, I want to bury my head in the sand and just be like, oh my God, why was I like this? Why? And it's because I ascribed to this idea that buying things would improve my life. It would improve me. It would make me better. It would make me happier and healthier. No. Buying a thing is buying a thing. It's not necessarily going to improve your life. Things can add joy to our lives, but we have to approach them as a thing that adds to our life instead of just a thing that's knocking around clutter. If it's clutter, I am the queen of clutter. I know clutter. I don't want clutter. I want things in my collection to be useful, to be easy to use, to be aesthetic. Even if it's my own chaotic aesthetic, that's fine. But it needs to live up to my aesthetics. And now I have this very even keel. I have enough palettes to really do just about anything I want to do when I work my singles into it. I can build rainbow palettes. I can build palettes of all raisin. I can build palettes of nudes and browns. And that is what I want. I want to be able to put together cohesive color stories without spending more money. That is what I want in the end. I am beyond pleased with where this journey has taken me. I really am. I am proud of myself for looking at a problem that I was able to identify and say, okay, how do I mitigate this? How do I calm everything down to a place that I'm comfortable with, where it satisfies my shiny magpie brain, but also has some utility to it. I can mix and match and make my eyeshadow and my makeup work for me. And that, at the end of the day, is really what matters. So, if you stuck around, thank you. Let me know what your relationship is with your eyeshadow, makeup, blush, etc. Because it does really frame how we shop. Thinking in a way that breaks things down to our baser instincts really does drive our impulses. And I know that for me, eyeshadow just doesn't have much of a draw anymore. And that I'm very happy with that. I'm very happy just using the eyeshadow I have, maybe bringing in a new single every now and then, and making my eyeshadow work for me. So thank you so much for joining me. I greatly appreciate it. Make sure to like, subscribe, share the video if you want. I'm a smaller channel. I would really appreciate it. Let me know how you're doing down below. Take care of yourself so you can take care of each other. And I'll see you all in my next one. Bye, friends. All right, we're going to see how that came out. Okay, I'm happy with that.